Hey friends, in this video, we're going to talk about how to make the best use of your time if you are working your business part-time. I want to give you a little bit of encouragement if you are working your business part-time. It doesn't mean you can't get just as good results as people who work full-time. We just need to plan a little bit better and be a little bit more intentional. So we've had a lot of clients talk about homeschooling, their other full-time job, and just sort of feeling like there isn't enough time. A little bit of encouragement for you, whether you're working full-time or part-time, there's always more you can do when you're in a sales business. And you just kind of have to draw some boundaries around that, right? In a corporate job, they set the boundaries for you. In entrepreneurship, we have to set our own boundaries. And I will fully disclose that I consider myself incompetent at defining my own boundaries, which is why I have a business coach and a business partner, and they're in charge of my personal boundaries. And these are the principles that we use to create boundaries around our time, how to know what is enough and what is not enough, right? And so I'm going to give you some principles, some helpful strategies for you, whether you're working full-time or part-time, but this is specifically to our part-time hustlers who are trying to figure out how to make it work. Now, we are not used to having to create our own schedules like this. Our schedules have typically been dictated by teachers, employers, and others for most of our lives. And so a lot of our clients are in the 30s, 40s, 50s, sometimes the 60s, and they're doing this for the first time, and that's okay. I'm going to give you some principles that are going to be really, really helpful. And I have 5 for you. Here we go. The first one is focus on the profitable activities. Ask yourself, is what I'm working on right now the highest level of profitable activities? So this includes networking, building relationships with people, inviting people to conversations about the product or the business, doing those conversations, and launching new team members. If you are talking to a potential relationship, someone in your network, a potential customer or a team member, you are doing a highly profitable activity for the most part, right? This is a communication business. And so by taking your time and focusing it on, is this networking, inviting, or enrolling or launching, you'll just be focused on the most profitable activities in your business. And you're just gonna have to be extra disciplined in that. Number 2, don't multitask. No multitask. Here's what I mean. A lot of people will say, how do I do this while I do homeschooling? That's the wrong question. I think homeschooling, staying, right, like if you have young children or a full-time job, those are all full-time jobs. They're not just like distractions. The people that think that those, like taking care of your kids all day when they need your help, is a distraction, that's just not true. That is a full-time job. And it's actually, I think, disrespectful to both things if you try to overlap them and multitask. So what will be helpful is to stop that, right? Like that's going to hurt your sanity, your family's sanity, and it's going to decrease the results in your business. So you're spending more time getting less results, and the multitasking will create burnout. You're much better off just saying, okay, I am unavailable between these hours and these hours because I am homeschooling, because I have my full-time job. And I'm going to get to this in the next point, and alternating, like you're going to work evenings and weekends. Doing it at the same time is not going to work. And if you give me like but what about dinner? But what about, like, there are choices that you and your family are going to need to make if you're doing right side hustle. Right now, Charlie, he works at the lab, and so they have a lot of work to do. And so he is currently working 6 days. So he gets overtime. He also commutes all 6 days, and he's going to get a pretty big bonus. And we had to make a decision: do we want to participate or not? Understanding there are trade-offs, which means we'll have a little bit less time to spend together. So like what he did is he's like, okay, I have my job, which serves my family. I have my family. I have things like my involvement in church. And so what he decided to do, and I'm not saying this is the decision for everybody, but he was like, for this period, right, I'm going to pull back from Bible study and I'm going to be home with my kids and my wife, right, extrovert who's still stuck at home. And I'm going to tend to that, and I'm going to pick that up, right, when things change. And so it's just like multitasking, trying to do all the things in the exact same moment is really, really bad for our brains and really, really bad for burnout. So don't multitask, time block instead. The next tip that I have for you is alternate. There's a couple different schools of thought on like habit forming, and like, do you do a little bit of work every day or do you do longer blocks? From a behavioral psychology perspective, from a sanity, productivity perspective, it's actually more productive if you do something like, I work Monday evening, Wednesday evening, and Saturday, 6 hours, and you have that time off in between, than every single day. The reason for this is context switching. Every time you switch tasks, you lose about 20 minutes of productivity. So like 2 3-hour chunks and 1 6-hour chunk, that's 12 hours. You're going to end up being able to accomplish more because you'll be doing less context switching than if you did 2 hours a day, because you'll lose about half of that time due to context switching. So that is one method of going about it. Now, the most effective schedule is the one you actually follow. So if it actually is better for you to do an hour a day, etc., right? Like that might be better. I want you to follow a schedule that works for you. But if every day isn't feeling productive, try going to a Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday schedule. That also allows you to decrease your multitasking and also have time in between. So you're not feeling like you're depriving yourself of rest for long, long periods of time. I talked to a client the other day who hadn't taken a week off from their business in 7 years. I was like, yeah, no wonder you're getting tired. Like you're exhausted, and she works full time. So if we were to go to, right, a Monday, Wednesday, Saturday schedule, she'd have more energy on Monday and Wednesday because she knew Tuesday and Thursday were off. And that really helps our mind and our body to be able to function at its best. Number 4 is time block. And again, this has to do with respecting your business. Time block your work time in the same way you put your kids' sporting events on the family schedule. So this isn't something that you're doing like for you. Typically your business, if it's a side hustle, this is for your family. And I think about how like we take our kids' sporting schedules, and I don't know if your kids are able to play sports right now, but this is just a really good example. And it goes on the fridge, and those times are honored, right? My mom calls and is like, hey, the kids want to do a sleepover. I'm like, nah, they have a game at 9 o'clock the next morning. Can't do a sleepover, right? Pre-pandemic times. We would honor that, right? Do we honor our own commitments to our business in the same way we have like 6-year-old soccer practice? And I'm not saying that one is better than the other. The idea is it's really, really useful for you to write down, right? Like kind of like a sporting schedule, when you're going to do outreach, when you're going to do appointments. If you're not doing an appointment, do more outreach, right? It doesn't mean you get the evening off. And put it on the fridge for everyone to see. This is when I'm doing my thing. And that's going to be super, super helpful for you holding yourself accountable, your family holding you accountable, right? If you tell your kids up on the thing, I'm supposed to be working, and you're not, like you don't put it up there, you don't even have a chance to be able to keep from being distracted without that communication. Number 5, sharpen your technical skills. Not your technology skills, although that's helpful, not your mindset skills, actually your technical skills. One of the favorite stories I ever heard, this is from Stephen Covey, and I heard this a long time ago. I'm gonna totally butcher it. This is how I remember it. It's really, really helpful. So the story of these 2 lumberjacks, old lumberjack, new lumberjack. Young lumberjack's like, I'm gonna be the best lumberjack ever. So they go out and cut down trees, and they work about the same amount of time, and the old lumberjack cuts down more trees. So the young lumberjack says, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna do it, and I'm not even gonna take a break. The next day, right, the old lumberjack does his normal thing. The young lumberjack takes no break. Old lumberjack still wins. The 3rd day, the young lumberjack starts 2 hours earlier, stays 2 hours later, no breaks, works his tail off. Old lumberjack takes 2 breaks that day. Crushes the new lumberjack. Finally, the new lumberjack says, I work so much harder than you do, put so many more hours in. How are you able to cut down more wood, right? Because lumberjacking is not about hours in, hours out. It's about production, very much like a sales business. And old lumberjack says, it's simple. I took time to sharpen my saw. If you don't have a sharp saw that can cut wood, you're in trouble. My daughter Zoe, she's 10, she'll turn 11 next month. She is doing woodworking, and we got her hand saws because my uncle was like, get her hand saws, get her used to it. I was like, we don't have time for this, right? It would take her an hour to cut through a piece of wood, and so we got her a little jigsaw, right? We gave her the right tool and the technical skills to be more efficient. She makes the same cut in about a minute. 1 minute compared to 1 hour. What does that do for her time management? And so now she's building laptop desks to sell. Well, she's going to make way more money because it's going to take her, by the time she gets her process down, the painting is kind of more of a beast. It will probably take her 2 hours to cut and assemble the laptop desk. It has folding legs and everything. Where before, it would probably take like 10 hours and she would feel exhausted. It would take her so much time, plus her arms would be tired, right? And all of that. I would have to say, you need to stop, I'm going to sleep, I can't record when you're sawing, because her saw is like right there on the other side of that wall, her hand saw, or a little workshop in the house. So we need to sharpen the saw. A high converting sales conversation, solid communication skills can double or triple your productivity. Here's how. Our clients, we work with them in our customer first sales system. We teach them a specific format for inviting that's authentic, transparent, trustworthy, etc. More people say yes. Then we teach them a high converting sales conversation where we give the customer an agenda, we ask some questions about their goals, we explain scenarios in which they'll use the products, we'll package them in kits, give them a couple options, offer them a free item if they choose to move forward that day. And over half of the people on these sales conversations end up buying. So let's say I have 10 contacts and I want to invite them to something. 5 of them say, sure, I'll meet with you. 4 of them show up and 2 to 3 of them enroll. That's way more time effective than having to reach out to 50 people without skill. Now, doing this process is better than doing nothing, right? But 50 people without skill, right? Having 10 people come to a conversation, not having that thing, not having the right tool or the proper communication skills, and end up with 1 enrollment, right? That means you have to do 5 times the amount of work to get, maybe 10 times the amount of work to get the exact same result. And so technical skills matter. And I know that there's a lot of people in the industry that say mindset is everything. Mindset matters after technical skills. Right? Once you have the now you do need to have the mindset in order to have the resilience to pursue technical skills. Yes, there's some basics there. But the gains that you make in mindset come after the technical skills. And so if you are trying to be productive and effective with the contacts that you have, you don't need as big of a network if you have a higher conversion rates. You'll have higher retention rates with good technical skills. You'll have a higher percentage of people that convert into builders with good technical skills. And so taking a little bit of time, not in like mindset or big picture professional personal development, but actually taking a little bit of time for some basic training and some technical skills will really make a huge difference for your productivity, your efficiency, and if you're working part-time hustle, right, and you just have the 10 to 15 hours per week in order to do this, or even 5 hours per week, you could do 2 to 3 one-on-one appointments and still come out with 5 enrollments a month, even at working 5 hours a week with good simple technical skills. And so it may be worth doing a little front end investment in order to be more productive over time. For me, I'm obviously a skill person and I want to be able to do my work well and in an excellent way. And this really, really, really helps with your productivity. And when you put all of these things together, right? Strong technical skills, you know when you're doing what, you have adequate time to rest, you're not split between a bunch of things in the same moment, and you're focusing on networking, enrolling, and launching, you're going to see your business grow in less time than even some of the people that work full time that don't do any of these things because they feel like they don't need to. So a lot of times our freedom is in our constraints. I've noticed this with me and my blood pressure. The moves we had to make because I can only do 3 live calls a day, the shift in our strategies has actually helped us cut out so much of the wasted time or the waste or the fat in our business. And we forced ourselves to only focus on the 100% most profitable activities. And so every minute of time that Karen and I put into our business it's doing better, which is really, really awesome. So as I went through these tips, you're not going to be able to implement all of them at the exact same time. I want you to take the one that is going to make the biggest difference in your business, and then just start taking one at a time, right? And adjust on a weekly basis. It's like the shift happens more like an ice cube that's melting as opposed to like just an about face. So have faith in yourself, make the adjustments, communicate with your family, and you guys will be in good shape. I hope this was helpful for you. Have an awesome day, and we'll talk soon.